Thanks for downloading this episode of the Resilient Advisor podcast. My name is Jay Coulter, and returning for his second appearance on this podcast is Bill Cates, the founder of the Cates Academy for Relationship Marketing. Last time he came on the podcast, we discussed the art of referral marketing, and it's still one of our most popular podcasts. I'll include a link to that in the show notes. But Bill has now turned his attention to helping business and professionals develop and communicate more relevant and compelling value propositions to win more ideal clients. His new book that is just out is called Radical Relevance: Sharpen Your Marketing Message, Cut Through the Noise, Win More Ideal Clients. Bill, thanks for coming back on.
Hey, you betcha. I love to be on with you.
So this time we're also doing a video cast because technology is moving so quickly. I don't know how comfortable I am with the video cast yet. How about yourself?
Oh, I've gotten used to it. I've been doing video for about 20 years now in different forms. So you roll with it, you do it.
Let's get right to it because we like to keep these podcasts under 20 minutes.
Sure.
Radical relevance. What does that term mean from a high level?
Well, I like to think of it this way. I like to think of it in terms of the challenges that you and I or anybody building a business and trying to reach new prospects for a business face. Number one, our prospects are inundated with information, right? They suffer from marketing message overload. It's been estimated that the average North American receives 3,000 marketing messages a day, right? So they're overwhelmed. How do you cut through all that noise? Our prospects now expect us to be more relevant. They expect us to know more about them because we live in a radically relevant world. If you look at the way Google's algorithms can figure out what you're searching before you've even finished typing the words in, right? If you look at all the different ways that people are targeting their message, people expect that. One of the biggest things in marketing are empathy, right? We need to display empathy for the fact that we know who we're reaching out to. They need to feel that we know them. And then prospects, one of the biggest challenges that we face, the prospects are stuck in inertia, right? Either they got their head in their sand, they're doing nothing, or on the other side, they're moving in a certain direction, working with a firm, whatever, and they're not open to other ways to view things, and that could be hurting them. And so how do you get them to take a different look? And so these are the challenges we face. And so radical relevance is all about becoming more focused and more narrow and having a very clear target market, and then figuring who the bullseye in that market is for us. Who is our right fit client? That's the bullseye. And then crafting our messaging in a way that will attract the right clients to us, repel the wrong clients, right? So that we're only creating win-win situations, and move them to take action. So that's a long explanation. That's what I mean by radical relevance is how do we cut through all that stuff and get our message in front of people.
So over the past couple of decades, I feel like you've built a brand for yourself around being the referral coach. In fact, I heard you in Rob Knapp's most recent book. You did a great job there. But is this a pivot for you?
It's an addition for me. So real quick, when I first got started, most of the clients who hired me were, and it was the companies that do workshops and speeches, was how do you ask for referrals, introductions without being needy, being, begging, et cetera. And I discovered a lot of these folks, it wasn't working for them because they weren't referable in the first place. Transactional, they weren't teaching anything. It was just make the sale, move on. And so we started working on client engagement and how to create a better client experience and client journey. And then, of course, the do not call regulations come through and all the ways it's just so hard to reach people these days. We had to start thinking in terms of introductions. And, the fastest, straightest line to being relevant with someone new is an introduction from someone they already trust, right? What's the easiest way to cut through all this stuff is get introduced to these people. But I was preparing a speech for a program, for a client, and I was interviewing some of their top folks. And I said, when you get a referral, when you get an introduction, what do you say to these people? And their value propositions and how they talked about their value was just terrible. It was weak. And yet they were still doing pretty well. So because they were working from introductions, they were taking that borrowed trust and borrowing it long enough where it kind of compensated for a weak value proposition. But ultimately, we got to earn our own trust. We got to start to, create our own there. And so what happens is, for a lot of these folks, one of their challenges, they could get the appointment, but then they couldn't move it to the next stage. Seemingly interested prospects would go missing in action. And so I realized it's because how they talk about their value wasn't relevant enough and or wasn't compelling enough. So you can see how that fits with everything else I've been teaching. It's just the next step in the process.
So you mentioned value proposition there a couple of times. Does that tie into the subtitle of your book as it relates to sharpening your marketing message?
Yeah, so here's the way I see value. A lot of people see value proposition almost synonymous with elevator pitch, but I see it differently. I think the value proposition is all the ways you bring value, the totality of your business, how you show up, how your associates show up, and how you bring value to prospects and clients and centers of influence, the totality of that. It's not just a little subset. Then the quote unquote elevator pitch, or I like to call it a value positioning statement, is how you talk about your value proposition, but it's a subset. It's just a little snippet into that. So we say sharpen your marketing message. Everything we do is a marketing message. Everything we say is a marketing message, and it's either going to be relevant to attract the right people or not. It's either going to be compelling to move them to take action or not. And so we got to sharpen it, narrow it, cut through the noise, win more ideal clients. So I purposely have that word ideal clients in. It's not just about the quantity, it's the quality. I use the term right fit clients, the people we were meant to serve and who were meant to be served by us. And with the right messaging, targeted in the right way, that's who we will attract. We will use the right words, and we'll have the right energy, and we'll have the right knowledge to attract just the right people. And so, yeah, it's all about resisting the urge to expand and actually narrow, so that our messaging is more effective.
Well, you were kind enough to send over an advanced copy of the book, and I had an opportunity to thumb through it, and I noticed a recurring theme of these rules of radical relevance.
Right.
What does it mean, and what are some of the top rules, in your opinion, that advisors should focus on today?
Sure. So for me, the rules are the principles. I deal in three levels whenever I teach the things I teach and give speeches, whatever, coach. There are certainly principles at hand. That from there, the strategies get created, and from there, the tactics. I've seen a lot of people, they're just tactical, all the time tactical. We should send out more emails. We should send that. We should do that. But they may be tactical, supporting the wrong strategy, or they're not following the basic principles. So our 17 rules of radical relevance are really the principles that are part of the book. So I already mentioned one, which is the shortest route to relevance is through an introduction from someone they already trust. The second rule of radical relevance is give your clients a seat at the table. And what I mean by that is we should really never develop marketing messages, website copy, LinkedIn profile, whatever it is, how we describe our business without talking to some clients about it, especially if we're going to target a specific market, to learn about that market through those people. Because we don't want to talk in terms of the same old trite industry jargon. We want to use the words that fit their world and that demonstrate that we know their world. So we should never develop this without giving them a seat at the table. Gosh, what else? I'm looking at it here. The last one I already mentioned was resist the urge to expand your target. The problem is when you're thinking about your website or you're thinking about any other way you're talking about your business, a lot of people tend to err on the side of expanding a little bit, try to build a bigger tent. But when you do that, what happens is you weaken your message. So let's say you have more than one kind of right fit client. Maybe you're dealing with small business owners in an industry, but you're also like dealing with, recently widowed or divorced women, right? Two somewhat separate kind of folks, right? But you love doing both. Well, just make sure that your messages are different. And if they come to your website, you very quickly give them a chance to self-identify. Are they a small business owner? Or are they a woman in transition? They click there, and then they get the web pages that are relevant for them. The problem is people try to do too much all in one package, and you speak to nobody when you're not targeting your message like that. So those are some of the rules of radical relevance that we sprinkle throughout the book.
So one of the risks of doing video along with podcasting is lights go out like this one did. But that's the challenges that come with it.
It makes you more intriguing looking. It's great.
That's right. That's right.
You look great. It's not a problem.
Yeah. So I want to go just a little bit deeper on websites because, Bill, that is something that I actually find a lot of frustration with. In my coaching consulting practice, I stay so far away from it because it just seems like it's a black hole of money and the ROI is not there. But then I see examples where that's not the case. For an advisor listening today that is considering, or they know that they need to redo their website, but they don't want to get caught in that black hole, what can they do?
Yeah, we work with a lot of advisors with that, with crafting the messaging and creating the architecture for the website. We don't actually build the website, but we help with all the stuff that gets handed over. And so the first thing you do is you got to make sure that you're not thinking of yourself as the hero. You're the guide, okay? Your clients are the hero. The mistake I see a lot of people make is they try to create this established credibility from the start, right? Look at our firm, look at our people standing in bold postures, look at all our degrees and all our certifications, and we've helped this many people and this many people, and we're the leading that. Now, the first thing you want to do with your website is bring people into your world. You want to have a message that displays empathy, that you understand their situation. And so one way to do that better is to have a target market. So Todd McDonald's an advisor out of Albany. He works with family-owned, closely held, heavy construction firms. His clients build roads and bridges and runways and buildings and things like that. If you go to his website, you see heavy construction equipment.
Sure.
He sends a message through the imaging that this is who I serve. And they immediately get that emotional response. This guy knows us, right? He's connecting with them first before he's just trying to establish his credential and all that sort of stuff. Another gentleman, Adam, focuses on optometrists. And when you go to his website, you see glasses. And he brings clarity to the world of optometrists in terms of their financial world, right? And so by focusing on a niche, it actually becomes easier to build a website that can have a message that draws the visitor in and creates that empathy for their situation. And then you can start to establish who you are. But first, you have to draw them in and understand their story and let them know you know a little bit about their story.
Let's go a little deeper on niches, if you don't mind. It's something that I've struggled with in my coaching practice to help advisors, A, find their niche, B, stick with their niche, yeah. and then really buy into the whole process of, you don't really want to take that $500,000 account from somebody outside your niche because it'll become an anchor in your practice. So if you could, you're sitting down with an advisor and they don't have a niche, what's the process?
Well, the first thing is they have to buy into the fact that it's going to help them. And it's actually ultimately going to help their clients. And when you target a niche market, it could be employees, executives in a large employer in town. It could be owners of a business in a certain type of industry. And obviously the geography will have an impact because if you're in a smaller town, the size of the niche may not be enough to have one niche. But what's the value? The value is you get to know those people better. You can identify those people easier. You bring more legitimate, real value to their world. They know people like themselves. It's easier to get referrals. It's easier to have the right messaging for them. So everything really, truly does get easier and more valuable, not just to you, but to your clients when you target a niche. Now, the fear that a lot of people bring to this concept is if I just focus on these folks over here, aren't I going to miss this opportunity over there? And it's that fear of loss, fear of missing out. And the truth is, well, yeah, you may miss this opportunity, but you'll be so successful over here, it won't matter. You won't even notice. And it's not like you have to divorce all your clients. You just slowly move and become more proactive to work on these folks. You can even let your clients know that one subset of your practice is working with these types of people. And sometimes they know people like the people you're trying to attract into your business. So it's not like you're necessarily going to alienate your current clients. So we have to dispel those mistaken assumptions and limited thinking so people will buy into the possibility. And then, of course, there's picking the niche. And, sometimes it's obvious based on whatever that advisor's history may be. Sometimes they have kind of a niche already forming. I'm sure you've seen this, Jay. You go to any advisor's book of business, and there'll already be little niches there, right? Everybody here knows each other from work. Everybody here is in the same business. Everybody here is in the same family. All of these people came to me because this was their life event, money, emotion event, right? So sometimes it's already there, and you just got to decide who do you resonate with the most? Who do you like working with? Who resonates with the work you do the most? Sometimes that niche and that target market is actually pretty easy to find. And then you start going about the business of really learning more about it and slowly tailoring your message, and go to those people and say, look, I'm thinking about working with more people like you, right? If you were me, who would you try to reach? Who would you talk to? Who would you, what would you want to learn? And then your clients will actually help you formalize this knowledge around your target market.
Well, Bill, thanks for coming back on the podcast. Congratulations on your new book, Radical Relevance, Sharpen Your Marketing Message, Cut Through the Noise, Win More Ideal Clients. Bill, where can listeners and viewers find out more information about the book and your business?
Thank you for asking. Amazon.com, right, the place for books. We also have a website for the book that's radicalrelevancebook.com, if you want to look there, radicalrelevancebook.com. It's coming out on audio, Kindle, paperback, and then referralcoach.com is my website, referralcoach.com. Happy to chat with you. We have a lot of resources there that are complimentary, and we coach and we speak and all the things that people like me do, and would love to help you out any way I can.
Excellent. Thanks for coming on, Bill.
You bet, Jay.
The information provided is for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice and should not be relied on as such. It should not be considered a solicitation to buy or an offer to sell a security. It does not take into account any investor's particular investment objectives, strategies, tax status, or investment horizon. You should consult an attorney or tax advisor. Resilient Wealth LLC is a registered investment advisor. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where Resilient Wealth and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. For Resilient Wealth information, please visit Investment Advisor's public disclosure website at www.advisorinfo.sec.gov by searching Resilient Wealth CRD number 301986.